This has to be one of the most based videos I've ever seen in my life. This is just 1 minute and 19 seconds of straight up facts.
They were disrespectful, which I wasn't very thrilled about, because I think that it's not a good students. If students are being disrespectful to professors, something's wrong. That's not what happens at a university. I had no tolerance for that in my classes. If you were out of line, you were more than welcome to leave now. And that didn't mean you couldn't challenge me intellectually. That was absolutely fine if you had a...
Exactly. You can disagree with people without being rude, without being disrespectful, without screaming and yelling. You can still disagree. If you make good points, people will listen. If it makes sense, it makes sense. These are just straight up facts.
Question, you were paying attention. I didn't care what your opinion was, but you know, maybe when you're a junior high teacher or an elementary school teacher, you have to put up with misbehavior.
Not
As
college.
a professor, I put up with like no misbehavior. We're adults. We're not doing that
Exactly.
at all.
Did you set the tone
Exactly.
for that day one in the
Oh,
first class? Like,
absolutely.
this is how I roll.
Yeah, I never had trouble with students in my classes. Well, a handful of students would pretty much always leave the first lecture I gave, particularly my personality class, because a lot of them didn't know who I was. In my smaller classes, people already knew who I was, so that never happened. But in my personality class, there'd always be 6 or 7 people in the first lecture who'd make a show of leaving. And it was because of the tone I set, which was, don't muck about in this class.
This is based as fuck, right? And I totally agree. You can present your arguments with respect, right? Without yelling, without screaming. And we're gonna see an example of this in a moment, where Jordan Peterson teaches us how to argue respectfully. Now let's watch this.
No, it's
Do you think that
corrupt
do you think
with
they,
a tinge of malevolence,
Do you think
willing to extract money out of people by putting their health on the line.
Whoa.
You don't
think
believe
that
that?
do you think that we get effective drugs from pharmaceutical companies?
Not particularly.
Okay. Do you think that any vaccines work?
Yes.
Do you think that any
I don't think 80 of them work at once for babies. I think that's a little risky.
but yet we've been on this vaccine schedule for how many decades
Like
and babies
this.
don't
Like this. Not like this. Not carefully.
I had a ton of vaccines when I was a child.
Well, that proves the point, right? That proves the point. And look, I understand the gravity of the topic that's being discussed here. It's pretty high, right? So I understand, but you're not gonna change each other's minds. You don't change each other's minds that easily, unfortunately. Or even fortunately, maybe. Never know, right?